Yo, what up, guys? What up? All right, coffee hour. Today we got the Fair Trade Organic Mocha blend. All right, so I'm just kind of going through the community real quickly here, seeing what's happening. I'm kind of checking in with them. And Agent Rant, what up? Oh, you know what? I just realized yesterday that you were also in the Discord. I didn't know. I saw that. I was like, oh, Agent Rant. Oh yeah, you were in the Discord. It's cool, man. How'd your exam go? How did you think it went? Basically, it's a question, huh? Posted a new post today in the community. Aha moments. What were people's aha moments? Kind of do this, trying to get back to it weekly. We used to do it weekly, and we had some really great tips. So we got that coming. Got a great little post here also about an add-on called MemSaver that helps you. It's actually made for cycles, but it works for Octane. You've probably ran into the challenge of optimizing heavy scenes, especially when you're working with tons of high-res textures or model polys. I would like to share with you this add-on MemSaver, which is officially designed for cycles and Eevee, but it surprisingly works great with Octane 2. It's used smartly. Mesh, mesh decimation. If you have a dense geometry in the background, MemSaver can automatically decimate those objects based on the distance and based on your camera distance. So that's actually really cool. Texture downscaling reduces the resolution of textures depending on how far an object is from your camera, mainly for cycles, but less VRAM use. And camera aware scene optimization. If you're rendering multiple shots from different angles, for example, architectural, visual, or animations, MemSaver can optimize each frame or camera individually. That's very nice. Yeah, actually, it's like man, it's Discord on steroids. Discord to the max times 10. So it's like a community feed. This is like our feed. We got different categories here. Like here is Octane help category, node database and materials, like anything with node database and materials. They're all inside of here. We kind of keep these posts. And what's nice is we can actually have the files. We put our Blender files in here, so you can download the Blender file and stuff like that. Ooh, actually, I wanted to use this on a project. I totally forgot about that. And as I was saying, yeah, so you got the community feed, like a Facebook feed, right, with different categories, which is very nice. And then on top of that, we're able to post our files, upload files in up to a maximum of 100 megabytes. And then we have the classroom, and these are like where you can come in and do courses. For example, we have the Blender Octane 101 guide inside of here, and like you can as you work on these different modules here inside here. There's all these different modules. Like here's just about the RGB color. This guide I actually gave away for free. It's on my YouTube channel. At least most of it. There's a few chapters I didn't. I have to slowly update those. But you can come in here, watch these videos. It's a little bit slow right now because I'm on the internet. So you got the classroom section. We've got all kinds of assets in here. I've been collecting all the YouTubers who are almost consistent with Blender Octane and kind of put them all in here so we don't have to go searching around on YouTube and taking very informational stuff as far as that has to do with Blender and Octane and putting those guys inside of here. So we've got everybody's different, a collection of Blender Octane YouTubers basically kind of hang out here. And they hang out. So we got Hassan's new course in here. So of course that's on YouTube. You can check it out. But I've just brought everything in here. I've actually just reactivated our calendar because I'm going to get back to streaming. I found a good spot for my Wi-Fi hotspot to sit, so it's been getting somewhat. As I say that, the signal dips down to red right now. Right as I say that, I look at it. It was green and now it's red. But anyways, so this is where I'll basically be able to post all my scheduled live streams, and then we have our members board where all of our members, and then it's kind of like we also have this map. So if you find a member that lives near you, you guys can possibly meet up. Now there is I think a 15-mile or 20-mile, or there it is, 10-mile privacy buffer. So it's not going to be like exact location. It's going to be off by 10 miles. Let that load in, which is really nice. Unfortunately, I am the only person here in Japan in my community. So there I am, the lonely dot in Japan. But we got 2 members from South Korea, which is nice. Those will be my closest neighbors, and then I got some members in the Philippines. But you can see we're pretty much spread out. But France coming in strong. We got 29 members in France and between France and Germany, which is really cool to see. 3 in South Africa. Where's my peeps in the U.S., man? We're not representing hard. We got quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are guys be Canada. 8, 9, about 9 members from the U.S. No, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13. We got a lot of people from Florida. So that's cool. So, you can meet up. But France, man, UK coming in strong, huh? Actually, it's Europe is coming in strong. France. That's actually really cool. I've never seen this feature before. Yeah, it's this company called Skool, and they're kind of new. They're not new, but they've been around, but they just don't. They're not like. They just do things differently than most platforms do. They're all about the main reason why I chose this instead of doing I still have the Discord, but compared to Discord, you see the difference, right? It's I just don't like the interface of Discord. That's why I never was a fan of Discord. I don't like how it's set up in the interface. Then we have leaderboards. Everything is gamified, kind of for example, we can see who's most active, 7 days, 30 days. And then these ultimately, each level unlocks something that I have in the community. There's certain things that are not available to beginners who just joined. One thing being for my material assets, there's certain assets as you've been here longer, you'll be able to have access to some of the bigger material packs and things like that. And then ultimately, because this is a paid community, right? There is no algorithm. Our feed is our feed. You post, you're on the feed. That you don't have. That was the main reason why I didn't want to do. I hate it. When you're in Facebook groups, and you post, and nobody ever answers your reply. Nobody ever answers your post, and that's opposite here. Your post gets seen, and we're most likely going to reply to your post, unless it slipped through and I didn't see it, right? And then ultimately, people pay for this community. But if a member reaches level 7 at the moment, they basically get a free membership, lifetime free. I just you just become a free member. So that's eventually going to get bumped up to level 8 as we get more people here. So last 7 days, these are the most active people as far as engagement, meaning commenting, liking people's posts in this engagement. Last 30 days, Bird Aid's coming in strong. Yep, and then all-time leaderboard. Right, Carlos is pretty strong. He's pretty much active a lot. So that's that. So the Wi-Fi today is a little bit dippy. What's up? I thought I had the good spot. It is in 4G. Yesterday it was in 5G. I probably should have restarted it before I did it. But how's the stream? Is it laggy? What's up? How is it on your guys' end? I'm gonna jump into Blender here in a minute right now. Just quickly jump over here really fast. Error, YouTube not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth stream. Laggy but still watchable. Yeah, that's the difference between that 5G and that 4G. I don't want to move it because if I move it, it might disconnect. It dips like you said, but overall good. Well, I'm just gonna keep debugging it every day until I get it to find the best smooth settings. I think right now I'm still trying to stream at 1080 by 1920. I might end up needing to knock that down to like 720 by 1080 just to maintain a little bit more smoothness since it's always dipping into 4G. Yeah, I'm still doing a HD resolution. I definitely probably could drop that down to 720 or 720p, and that definitely might smooth things out. I'll try that tomorrow. Again, just got to put in the reps to try to get, better at this. All right, yesterday. Me? All right, here we go. So, yesterday we did a little bit of actually, you know what I want to do really quickly? I want to record that whole setup process one more time for peeps who didn't understand how to set up. I had a couple of, actually, let me take a look at the comments yesterday. What did we get? We had a couple comments. I'll take a look at that later, but I want to set that up one more time also for muscle memory, setting up the scatter object. So I'm going to knock this out one time because I'm actually going to edit this part out of the video so I can use it as a quick reference video for how to set this up. All right, so we're going to drop in a plane. That's going to be what we're going to scatter on. I'm going to go apply scale. And then I'm just going to quickly do primitives this time. I don't want to add any things. I'm just going to do some primitives. We're going to bring this cube. We're going to scale this cube down. We're going to jump into the front view. And then I'm just going to put the origin point at the bottom because whatever you're pointing, if you wanted the origin the point to be on the bottom, there it is. Okay, let's add in another primitive. Let's just add in this sphere. Bring this over. Again, I want this to sit on the surface. Scale it down. Shade it smooth. Tab into it, edit, GZ up. Put the origin point at the base. And let's put it right at the base. So it's sitting on the surface. There it is. And let's put one more in there. Let's do a Suzanne head. And let's grab Suzanne. Let's bring that down. G that X over. And Suzanne head, what we're going to do is have her sitting more like, rotate X like like this. Let's go into the front view. Let's go ahead and shade smooth that. Let's actually give it some subsurface. I mean, not subsurface, subdivision. And then I'm gonna go. Let's go to the side here. Let's go G's. Tab into it first. Tab into it. GZ. And kind of get it so it's sitting. Rotate on the X. GZ. Something like that. Okay. And it doesn't look like it's sitting on there exactly like I want it. GZ a little bit more. Let's go to front view. Alright, that looks good. Alright, so these are our primitives that we're going to scatter onto this plane. And let me apply the scale on Suzanne. Let me apply the scale on everything. Apply scale. Alright, good. Now we're going to jump into our plane. Here I'm going to call this scat. Right, we're going to delete the universal material. We're going to add in a scatter on surface. We're going to plug that into displacement. Then we're going to add in a geometry node. We're going to select the plane for the geometry. And then we're going to select one. This is going to be object 1. Then we're going to add another object 2. Here's object 2. And then we're going to add in object 3. And object 3, which would be the Suzanne head. There's object 3. Alright, now we got those 3 objects in. Next, what we're going to do is turn it on. We'll come over to our plane, scroll down to data properties. One time, we should select scat and then select scat on system. There it is. Now we should be able to turn on our render and see it being populated, and they're scattered on the points. So honestly, if we wanted to, we can just come in here and subdivide this, subdivide, and then now you'll see more points will start being generated like that. So that is one option you could do. Look at that, that's pretty cool. Let me quickly change my background here. Now what we also can do is we're going to change this. We're going to come in here. We're going to go to distribution on surface. How do I want to distribute? Let's go to, there's one. That's another interesting one. Then let's go to evenly spaced instances on edges. Don't want that. And one instance per polygon. Okay, so that's one polygon face basically sitting on there. And then we can also go to random instances by relative area, which I like the best. And then what is this other one that I saw? Relative instance by density. Now these two here, we definitely need to have more instances. Right now we only have one instance, which you can see right here. One instance. Let's crank this up to like 200. Okay, now we got a lot of instances. Let's cut that down a little bit. Where is it at? Where did I say 200? Yeah, let's go like to 50. All right, cool. Now let's see. Come back up here by distance again. I want to see by density. What's the difference? I got to read up about that and see what's the difference between relative area and relative density. Density. Well, then here's our density control. Density meaning instances. Relative by distance. Density, sorry. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on, how that's working. Okay, but anyways, we look at them. They're all not facing right, because look at our Suzanne. She's facing face down, right? So I struggled with this in the beginning. Like I was figuring out, how do I get them to face up? And the best, easiest way is to come down to orientation priority, up, go to front. Now they're facing the front. So that looks cool, right? Then that's pretty much lined up correctly. Now also, if we come in here and take our terrain, for example, let's go into vertex mode, G, grab this, and I can go G, Z, or matter of fact, I'm gonna go G, G, O. Let me tell that I want to grab, turn on my, yeah, I want to turn this on. Kind of just move this. Move this up a little bit. Let's kind of deform it. All right. I also want to see what's it doing here. Now things got a little bit weird once I started pulling up on the actual plane here. You can see these guys here, they're bunched up. And I think this is where the normal comes, face a normal. Yeah, there we go, see? Now since I moved it, like the normals are aligning the normals. Interesting. Smooth normals. We'll turn that off. Yeah. So there you go. That's something happening there. Directional, more point direction. Let me give these things a little bit of color here, just so we can get some separation on these. All right, so we're back on here. Let's go sequential. So we have object selection is sequential, random. I played with this a little bit yesterday. Again, you can add a texture map in here and control how you want to do that. Let's go to random. All right, let's scroll down here and curl maxing. Smoothing, I did that already. Now let's reference angle. Let's see what is this doing here. Not really seeing what that's doing. Same here, not seeing what that's doing. That's probably not activated because we went to front, maybe. Directional point. Now I know, like, if we wanted to change up the sizing and the rotation and start, you know, randomizing that stuff here, we can come in here and start doing it with these here, like for example fixed. So if I rotate this bottom one, it's like 360 degrees, everything's gonna have a slight, it's gonna be slightly different. See, we can rotate those around. What is this going? Oh, this goes the other direction. So if you got trees and they're leaning one way or something, but you see everything's kind of fixed. So let's change this and see what this does. Let's go to random with independent axes. Let's just do one value at a time. Okay, now it's slightly different each axis. Everybody has a different little, like these guys here are rotating more than this guy is here. Look, like some are very much not moving a lot. So again, the minimum maximum is really going to come into play. Then let's go to random with coupled axes. Not really seeing a difference there. Interesting. Map, and then of course if we put a map again, we can put like some type of image map or something on that right here. Map selection. I can put in a, see, Octane texture. We can come down here to map. We can do an image map, or we can even do procedural, go to like a noise texture. And then the noise texture, based on this noise texture, it's going to, it's kind of hard with the noise texture because you're not even really seeing what you're doing, but yeah. So you can put like an image map in there or something. All right, so that's the rotation. Let's put that back to this one here. Then we have the scale, minimum scale. This is the minimum size and then the maximum size. But again, everything is fixed, right? We're in that fixed position. So if we go random with independent axes, now different axes are being affected, as you can see that. Let's go with coupled axes. There's that. And then again, we can set the minimum. So if we come back here and select these, like I want the minimum to be 0.1. Where was I? I was on scale 0.1. Right, now the maximum. So there's our minimum. Like you can see the minimums are staying. There's our minimum and there's our maximums. And then the same thing, we can add a step map. Actually, that was one thing I wanted to figure out. What was the step map doing? What was step map doing? And then translation. In this case, is, why we don't see some of them moving here? Hang on, let's see. Translation should just be, yeah, everything moving over left or right, or up or down. Overall max translation. Again, change those values. Let's go to this one here. Now there's slightly randomness in that. And then 0 has everything sitting based on those origin points. Then I also tweaked it so you can see the plane has been tweaked a little bit. Now, I did figure out how to do texture painting, or how to basically paint in where you want these particles to happen. I want to quickly show how to do that, so I can also, this is more of a visual note for myself, really, so I can remember how to do this. So to paint these in, let's go heavy first. Let me get a little bit more particles or instances happening on here. Let's go like 100. Actually, I want it to be really dense. I want it to be really dense. There we go. Now, if I wanted to paint like a path or something through here, what we can do is come into our, what did I do yesterday? I went to curling map, right? Curling map. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add in an image. I'm going to add in an RGB image, right? So everything disappears. And then I'm going to click new. And this is what I'm going to paint onto. So I'm going to say OK. And then once you do that, in Octane, we have to press this. Use this as a viewport paint. Yes, I want to use this as a viewport paint. And then I can come into my painting setup here. Texture paint. And let's go into a straight down position. Right, black and white values, don't forget. So if I paint, press X to switch that, and then I should be able to paint, and then boom, now I'm painting in the map where I want stuff to show up. So vice versa, like if we just come back here, let me go to the top. So if I wanted to paint a path instead, let me go ahead and actually fill everything up. You press F and you can change your brush size. Okay. So now I'm gonna press F again. Now we wanted to paint like a path if we had these were trees or something. So again, we switch our color and then we'll just come through here and paint our path. Boom, and there it is. That's how you would paint it using trees and stuff like that. That's really nice. I really enjoy that. That's cool. And what are these brushes? Oh, I'm not gonna get into all that. That's just standard Blender stuff here. So let's kind of make it a little bit more bigger. Boom, there it is. That's how you will paint that in. So more like a quick visual note to myself about how to get these, how to set this up again. And yeah, that's pretty cool. I wish I could mark it. Like, how can I mark the stream? Can't mark the stream. All right. So that's that. Now the other issue that I was trying to figure out yesterday was how could I stack them? Well, I know how to stack them. So if you wanted to make another system, what you do is you literally just come in here and you make your next system. So for example, if we wanted to, let's add some trees. Matter of fact, we're gonna add some trees in here. So what you do is you just bring in your assets, or for me in this case, I'm actually just gonna come over here and to works with texture painting as well. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, that's where the real power comes in, because you know, especially if you're doing like terrain or something, you want to be able to paint where you want this stuff to be. So, I think a lot of people are gonna get hung up like, oh, I can only do 4 things. Well, technically in one system, yeah, but you can make multiple systems, right? So if I duplicate this, or we'll just call this scat v2. Okay. And then what I like to do is just delete this just to make it more easier for myself to set everything up. If I delete that and go scat2, and then we'll come over here, and one more time, I'm just going to shading, and then what I want to do is bring in just some assets. I did cardboard box just yesterday, ended up making the cover for that stream, which was actually pretty fun. Oh, you know what? Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's go big. Let's bring this asset in. Whoa, whoa, whoa. How did I do that? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's going on? T, why is T doing that? T is adding in these extra asset. T. That's something new I just learned. Pressing T added in the asset browser. So is that like a bug, or is that just actual shortcut? T just added in the asset browser. I pressed T there. But I don't want to do T. I want to do, oh, I'm in texture painting. That's probably because I was in texture paint. I don't know. All right, so did it bring in my asset that we brought in? Quarry rock, there it is. Okay, this is gonna be a great asset to scatter around here. All right, first thing, we got to get our orientation right. Obviously, this is not right. I'm going to just tab into it. I'm going to go rotate on the X, 90. Right? Tab out of that. And that looks like most of the Quixel stuff is already set up, like as far as origin point. That looks good. Okay, now this might be really interesting here. Let's try this. I'm actually going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to kill this first system that we put on here, because I want to see just this asset right now. So let's go down to our data properties. I'm going to kill that. I'm going to look for, whoa. Yeah, I'm going to look for scat v2. There it is. Okay, scat v2. Let me go back over here because it's easy to work. All right, here's our scat v2. Here's our scat v2. We got to also make sure it's on this side over here in the data properties. Otherwise, it won't work. So now, technically, if we turn it on, we should see nothing. Okay, good. We see nothing. And here is our ground material that we're going to scatter on there. Okay, now I want to say, hey, give me the geometry. What do you want to scatter onto? I want to scatter onto this plane. What do you want to scatter onto this plane? I want to scatter on this rock. Okay, boom. Matter of fact, let's bring in another rock. Let's just bring it in another rock. That's one. Let's bring in this rock here too. Again, and then it's all jacked up. I'm going to tab into it, edit, rotate X, 90. Tab out. Actually apply the scale just in case, but they should be already ready to go. Okay, good. Now let's come back over to here. It's got to update the materials. Yeah, today that 4G is killing the stream. 5G is where the money's at. Yeah, that was kind of my bad. I probably should have restarted the Wi-Fi before I started the stream, because yesterday I did that. So I just got to figure out my routine to maintaining a good. And what happened to the camera? Oh, there it is. Oh, battery, that's why. Yeah, we're gonna have battery issues. All right, anyways. What happened? Oh, the screen went black because that means the asset is probably huge. That's probably why. Like, it might be really big. Yep, we were like actually in it. That's what happened there. Okay, so then what I know what we need to do is this is going to kind of happen quite a few times. It might be this asset here. Let's tab into this, grab this, and scale it down. Should I scale it down? Let's just scale it down and apply scale. Let's grab this one. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna scale it down. I'm gonna undo that, what I just did. I'm gonna do it through the scale, through this. So we added that one. Let's add the second one. And the second one is this one, right? Yep, that's the second one I want to add on. Add that one on. Okay, now this is massive, we know. So let's come back in here. Let's turn this on. It's gonna go black because we're underneath it. And let's come into, I'm gonna disconnect this for now. We need to come into probably, matter of fact, I'm just gonna reset this whole node. There we go. Yeah, I'm just gonna reset that whole node. And this is what we've got going. And we're still underneath. And there's like a whole bunch of them. This is madness, right? Instance is 1. Okay. Let's come down to scale first. Scale. I'm going to grab this and just bring it down. Okay. What is this area we're seeing on top here? What is this? Okay, things are getting really wonky here. So what I'm going to do is minimize the wonkiness. Let's press M on that just to mute that. And let's come back up to here so I can see these a little bit better here. This one right here, let's go ahead and kill that too. And let me turn this back on. Like, why are we seeing this here? What is this? Like, I'm not able to select it, but we're seeing this here. What is that? Okay, I'm glad this is happening now so I can see. I just disconnected everything from the scattering system. Okay, then what is that? Why is that? Why are we seeing this? Okay, let's come back over here. I think it has to do something with something over here. I'm actually going to just delete that. I'm actually delete that. Let me grab everything here, delete this, clean the scene up for a minute. Let's turn everything back on. Okay, now we're back to sanity, right? Back to normalness. All right, now I'm going to come back and drag that one asset in again. Let's just bring it in one at a time so we can figure out. Because this is something theoretically I would want to do. Like, I would want to scatter some rocks on the scene, right? Okay, now that doesn't even show up. Mossy rock, where are you? Let's try this rock, beach boulder. Okay, there's beach boulder. And the beach boulder, see, it's gonna be kind of weird, like to get the ground point. I guess we'll do something like that, right? You probably would want it to sink in a little bit. But for now, let's try to get this one scattered on here. All right, I want to scatter this onto here. Let's turn on the render so I can see if it gets all crazy. All right, everything's still cool. We're gonna scatter this rock. Okay, there we go. Let's hide this out of my view. That's okay. Let's click back on the plane. But the scale is off, 0, 0. Or what is default? Default, oh, default is 1. Okay, so default is 1. They come in huge. That's the problem. Okay, that is the problem. They come in huge. So maximum size. Okay. I'm in here at direction. I wanted to go front, which didn't really make a difference. I want to do scatter by area. Let's get a ground plane here. Let's get rid of just a plane underneath here. Scale that plane up. All right, that's kind of something. I actually think this rock should be on the other side. Like it should be on the rotate X 90 maybe. Let's see what that looks like. Do I need to apply rotation when I make a change? Yes, I do. Yeah, that feels a little bit better with the rock. Okay, so we're scattering this rock on here. Rotate on the Y, so it's more straight. Then I have to apply rotation. Yes, I do. Okay, GY, let's move that off to the side. Now, let's add in another rock on top of this. So that was one. Let's go and bring in another rock. Next, let's go back to the one that we were going to do before, Quarry Rock. Why is Quarry Rock now not working? Like now we don't see it. What did I do? Look, we don't see it. What happened to Quarry Rock? It was glitching out and now we don't see it. Alright, I'm not going to worry about it right now. Probably need to restart Blender. We're just going to grab this other one then. Now we're not seeing both of those. What is up? What is up with that? How come we're not seeing those now? We're just seeing an origin point. Rock asset. I don't know. That's probably some weird glitch or something. Who knows? I don't know. Well, what about this? Oh, well, that works. Like, just those two that came in first are glitching out. And I think it has to... Huh. Why are they glitching out? That's kind of what got me thinking now. Alright, this origin port's at the bottom already. That's good to go. Let's click back on our ground plane. Maybe scale that up a little bit more too, right? Apply scale. I think with everything you do, you got to apply the scale, apply the rotation. That's kind of like something you got to get in the habit to do when you're doing this. All right, now we should see this other rock. Let's add that new rock to the system. Come back over here. Here's the next rock we want to add in. Click on that. Click on the rock. And okay, now this one's interesting. It should be facing upright. Did I apply the scale? Probably not. Apply rotation. There we go. Okay. Interesting on this one, huh? Is it sitting on the ground? Not really. So again, we could just adjust our GZ, our origin point. Okay, let's click back on our ground plane there. Now, unfortunately, when you do it like this, like when I put all these rocks on the same system, now when I, like, if you want more control, you really need to start splitting these up onto different systems. So for example, like I want this one, I want to take this one here, right? I want to use this ground plane here. Okay, so now I'm starting to understand how to properly use this here. Like the more independent control you want, you're going to have to start to split these up onto different different systems. Actually, probably should change that to that, right? And then if we want to do different sizes of this rock, we come down to scale, right? Scale coupled. Uh-oh. Why did it do that? What happened there? Did my server go off or something? Server still active. What happened here, guys? Okay. No net GPU. It's a server. Let me just close the server really quick. That's a server thing. Oop, even Photoshop crashed. Ooh, what's going on with that? PC didn't like what I just did. What's going on with that? Did the server come back on? Server disactivated. Let's activate that. Activate that. See, I think that had to do with the internet. Because like maybe the internet signal. Well, no, like Octane just basically uses that to check in to make sure your sign. It's not like it's a continuous running data stream. Like from what I've heard, like that's just used to basically authorize you. So why is it taking forever now? Like it's not like it's sending data to a server and then rendering it back, and so it's nothing like that. It's more like just for. All right, so that's back up. Okay, cool. All right, now we should be good. Updating shaders. Waiting for image. Uh-oh. I have a feeling it's not working right. No net GPU. What is up, dude? Well, anyways, I never did save this file. Well, let me just close that. We're coming up to the end anyways. I have to go to work today early. So let me just quickly fire that back up to make sure everything's okay. And lesson learned. So notes for today: make sure I always restart the Wi-Fi before we start streaming, because like yesterday I rewatched a little bit of it and it looked fine. Actually, today I'm gonna knock it down to 720p after this, instead of trying to do HD stream. What am I doing? I'm already in a file. Let's turn this on. Yep. Okay. So everything's back to normal. All right. So we're coming up at the end anyways here. What do we got? Last 10 minutes. Yeah, we got 10 minutes. I'm going to stream to the full hour, the full hour. And again, I'm just going to set that up one more time really fast. Now that I know how to do it. Apply scale. Because we got 10 minutes. It's going to take me less than 10 minutes to set that up. So then we'll come to 3D Shaker. I'm going to grab my tree. We're going to grab one tree. 2 tree. 3 tree. And 4 tree. We're going to grab these 4 trees. Alright, so you know the deal. When you get on here, we drop on a new material. We're going to call it tree, because the scatter lives on the material, right? Jump out of that. Come in here, scatter on surface. Scatter on surface. Drop that geometry into the displacement. Grab your surface. What's going to be? This is going to be my surface. Grab your objects. I'm going to go 1, 2. Cheers. What's up? 2, 3, and 4. This is going to be our 4th tree. All right, so we got the 4 trees on there that we want to scatter. Come down to our data properties, click data properties, go down to nodes, go look for trees, or I can just type it. There it is, tree, and then select scatter on surface. Once we do that, now we've turned this on. The trees might be huge and all massive, and the screen might go black. If the screen goes black, that's probably because you're inside the geometry. In this case, it didn't go black, but we got our trees there. Trees are being generated only on the 4 points. So to get those to generate now normally, let's come down here to our distribute on surface. We're going to go from instance to point. We're going to go to relative area. There it is. Now there's our tree. Now when we do relative area, it turns it to instance. So let's crank up our instances to like maybe 50 trees. Amazing. Octane and Blender. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. Now that we've got that, why are our trees laying down? So to get our trees to face front, we come down here to and go to front. Boom. Now our trees are standing up. And there it is. Now that you can see that they're all slightly shifting. And that's because the main tree, our main sample, this tree is actually slightly shifted. So if you want to correct that, you could correct it on the main tree by grabbing everything and then go rotate on the X. Actually, hang on. Select everything, rotate X. But now I shifted it off its origin point. Okay, so I see why I probably wouldn't want to do that. So I guess we could just correct that. If that was bugging you, we could correct that through the actual node. Hang on one second. Something that's always bugs me when I start doing this is this. There we go. All right, so we could fix that by... Actually, you know what? I should just switch to this. I always do this. Switch to daylight environment. Boom, there we go. Okay, it's easier to see. Now we can see how all our trees are leaning. So if I wanted to just fix that, just come into, let me go back to this layout because I like this one a little bit better. Okay, the trees are slightly leaning. So if we come into our rotation, come down here to rotation. I'm going to do rotation, random axes, and I'm going to go, there it is. See? Now we can rotate them so they're more standing straight up. Now, again, I use the same tree. I use two of the same trees are actually the same tree, but they're just slightly different colors. So again, the more different items you bring in, the more randomness you're going to get. Now we can also randomize these the size. Let's cut this down first a little bit. It's a little too thick. Okay, so again we come down here to rotation also, and I want to do 360. I want these to randomize. Everything is going to be random now on 360 on the, I think this is the Z property or something. Scale, let's come down here and we're going to do random with couple, and then again I want some to be smaller. I want some to be half of this size, so I can do a 0.5, and then I want the maximum to be maybe 0.25, right? So there it is. Like we have some that are going to be ones and some that are going to be really big. All right, now that mixes it all up. All right, and then again, translation, this is where you don't really, this is going to move the overall point. Like that's kind of like, you might want to keep that one where it's at, right? In this case for the trees. So, and then like, since our plane, whenever you add a scatter onto a plane, you notice our plane turned invisible because we're scattering on that. So you just add a new plane, scale that up, and then this will just be our ground plane, right? Now this will be the ground. So that kind of gives you the freedom to do whatever you want to do as far as the ground. All right. And then there will be our ground, and there's all of our trees. Let me click back on this and scale this up. Now, when you scale it up, the whole thing scales up. Then you apply the scale, everything goes back to normal. So you make sure you always apply the scale once you do anything like that. So there's our little trees. Now we can start to go add in a lot more trees, right? Because we need it now. Now let's go 100. We can probably even go 1,000. Boom! There it is. Now we got a forest. Look at that. Look at that. There's our forest. Forrest Gump. There's a tree. Dense forest, right? Boom. All right, guys. So, not an A+ stream today. I gotta we got the signal dropping in and out, so I've learned my lesson. That's all right. I'm gonna try again tomorrow. I'm gonna try. I don't like streaming because it's never perfect. But in order to get better at something, you got to do it over and over and over. So I plan to do this again tomorrow. And I'm going to reset the Wi-Fi, and I'm actually going to drop the stream quality down to 750, 1080 by 720 instead of full HD. That